This is the BBQ Central Show Archives. The BBQ Central Show airs live each Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and is brought to you by the BBQ Guru, makers of automatic temperature control devices, and a host of other products that make your barbecue and grilling life easier. Visit them online at thebbqguru.com or call them 800-288-GURU. And by Big Poppa Smokers, creators of fabulous rubs, online retailer of grills, accessories, apparel, and creators of their own barbecue contests. Visit them online at bigpoppasmokers.com. And by Butcher Barbecue, creators of injections and rubs, sweeping the nation, doing well in competitions and in the backyard. You can visit them at butcherbbq.com. And by Stephan DiFranco Jewelers, official jeweler of the BBQ Central Show. Call 440-943-2700 and use key term barbecue brother when you talk to Steve, or visit them online at StephanDiFranco.com. And by Green Mountain Grills, one of the best pellet grills you can get on the market today, varying sizes, not only for your capacity of cooking, but for your budget as well. Visit greenmountaingrills.com for more information. And by CookinPellets.com. Have a pellet-driven cooker? Why not try out some of the best pellets on the market and will not void any of your warranties, by the way? CookinPellets.com is the website. And by Cookshack, a premier manufacturer of electric and pellet-driven cookers, giving barbecue classes located in Ponca City, Oklahoma. Always running some kind of a special deal. Check them out at Cookshack.com.
Hey, this is Helen Paradise from SoCal, and you are listening to the BBQ Central Show.
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and... Oh! Should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
All right. Good evening and welcome to the Really Big BBQ Central Show. Yep. It's the show that talks about all things important in the world of barbecue and grilling. Broadcasting live and direct from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city of Cleveland, Ohio. It is the barbecue capital of the North Coast. I'm your program host, Greg Lampe. Happy to have you aboard here on your Tuesday evening. If you want to jump in, more than happy to have you. Telephone call as such, 216-220-0966. You can also email the show, Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com. Anything else you want to find out about the show can be found at the main website, thebbqcentralshow.com. And here's what's happening in case you didn't get the newsletter. And of course you didn't.
Get that big stuff out of here.
In case you don't have the Facebooks, coming up in about 12 minutes from now, American Royal Invitational Grand Champion Bill Gillespie smoking hogs in. Yes. 9:35, Dana Point Grand Champion Steph Franklin. Yes. And then we move on to the second hour. Always the first Tuesday of every month, guest and newly inducted BBQ Hall of Famer, Dr. BBQ Ray Lampe. Yes. And rounding out the evening, American Royal Open Reserve Grand Champion Sterling Smith. Loot and Booty Barbecue Team. Hey-o! So we're locked and loaded. It's going to be heavily competition-oriented this evening, holding the Ray Lampe talk. But, of course, he was at the American Royal this weekend, too, so we'll get a lot of insight from him in regards to how he saw the weekend go down, a recap of his Hall of Fame induction ceremony, all that good stuff. So looking forward to the show. Bill Gillespie, Steph Franklin, Ray Lampe, Sterling Smith if you need him. And if you want to jump in, 216-220-0966, Greg at the BBQ Central Show.com. If you are watching the show right now, give people links of encouragement. OutdoorCookingChannel.com is the place to go to watch for video. TheBBQCentralShow.com is your audio feed. If you have Roku or some other type of internet protocol television, go into the App Store, search for Outdoor Cooking Channel. If they have the Outdoor Cooking Channel app, download it, and you can watch a live stream. It is the first option, by the way. I spent a lot of time over the weekend on Roku and realized that the live stream is the first option. Then it's the Barbecue Central Show, and the shows string out from there. So you can watch it right there from the comfort of your couch on the high-definition television. You can subscribe to iTunes for replays of the show, YouTube for replays of the show on the video side. Outdoor Cooking Channel obviously has all the video replays. And, of course, the clearinghouse for archives for the show is the main Barbecue Central Show website, so there's never any reason you should miss anything ever on the show, no matter what is being said. You would recall a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago maybe, we were holding a raffle for about a week's time, and a winner was getting it was a $25 raffle for your chance to win a ticket to a $275 pork class that was given at the American Royal, Hog with a Heart. Greg Hasty was the guy that won that, and he is written in with a recount of his time. It says, "Dear Greg, I had won the raffle you provided on your show for Operation Barbecue Relief's Hog with a Heart Ribs Pork Cooking Class. I wanted to take a minute and follow up with you. My experience at the Royal this past week, the class was taught by an all-star cooking team, the Shed Barbecue, Boar's Night Out, Sweet Swine of Mine, Natural Born Grillers. Without question, this class was worth the $25 raffle ticket. But honestly, well worth more than the $275 donation to the OBR class. I would like to do it again in a heartbeat. I would really consider doing the entire Pitmaster experience. The class was performed in the Operation Barbecue Relief Camp at the Royal, which is where their Pig-a-Palooza party was held. All the folks involved in this class are without question class acts. They made us feel very welcome. They were very friendly. The All-Stars were really down to earth, eager to share their experience and teach us the process of great barbecue. They all welcomed any and all questions. We could ask them anything we wanted to, and they answered them. Well, it wasn't part of this particular class. They prepped and started cooking 4 200-pound whole hogs the night before for the party that evening. During the day, we got to share in watching this process as well. The party itself was very cool, very, very fun. Barbecue band, Royals game, and some really good Q cooked by fantastic cooks. I've lived my entire life in Kansas City, 46 years. I have never been to the Royal. I've had smokers for 20-plus years, but really never seemed to have the time to enjoy them. And over this past year, while on a journey to lose weight, nearly 120 pounds thus far, props to you, Greg, namesake, I had become obsessed with food, or more importantly, learning about food. This learning led me back to barbecue, and now I have probably read more books in the past 6 months than I have read in the past 20 years. And how I say all of this to say thank you for providing the raffle and the opportunity to learn from these folks. Huge thanks for a very special day, Operation Barbecue Relief. Lynn for organizing the event. Sweet Swine of Mine, the Sheds Barbecue, Boar's Night Out, Natural Born Grillers. Afterthoughts. Before even winning the raffle, he had planned to make the entire weekend of the American Royal. Thursday, did the certified judging class. Then Thursday evening, his son and him played the Fast Eddie Texas Hold'em Poker Tournament. Friday was the Operation Barbecue Relief class from 7:30 to 3. Had the Pig-a-Palooza party. Saturday was hanging out with friends, watching the Invitational Awards. Very long weekend. Met a few new people to call friends. I might have caught a barbecue bug, but that bitch bites. On a more serious note, Operation Barbecue Relief Organization is really good, dedicated, caring bunch of folks. I will certainly donate in the future, maybe even find a way to be involved in the future. I was really inspired by the work they were doing. Thanks again, Greg Hasty. Thank you, Greg, for writing in with that great account of exactly what happened during your weekend. And I almost forgot that you won that gift. That raffle, your $25 donation, getting you entrance into a $275 class, the one-day class. I forget how much the whole class was. You had the opportunity to sign up for a whole class as well. Was that in the $500 range or something like that? Maybe it was even more than that. Maybe it was in the $700 range. But look, depending on what you were looking to get out of the class, if you were a competitor, being around those cooks, Shed, Boar's Night Out, Natural Born Grillers. You know, John Wheeler, he's one of the best rib cooks in the country, one of the best barbecue cooks in the country. Mark Lambert, obviously. He's won very big name contests, to say the least. No names, please. Shed, Brad Orison, Hobson Cherry, respected names in the industry, both as restaurateurs or on the business side of things, but also as competitors as well. Brad does judging from time to time as well. So that is quite a list of people to give the pork and ribs class, which was on the 7th, or which was on this past Friday. I'm sorry. That was the Operation Barbecue Relief class. It was 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. That's what it was. And then to hang out for the Pig-a-Palooza party. I mean, who wants to party with awesome people? I do. Can I party with awesome people? I would love that. I would love to. So, again, Greg, thanks for taking part in the raffle. I would have liked to have donated more money to Operation Barbecue Relief for doing that. But look, if it's one person donating $25, they gave us the ticket to do it, you'd have a very good opportunity of winning if you're the only one in the raffle donating $25. And what's the worst thing that happens? You don't win the class. You donate $25 to what has been recognized as one of the best charities out there going in the country today. This isn't people from the barbecue world saying that. This is well-established businesses and magazines and other such industries that are watching who does good when it comes to charity, who might be talking or walking the walk, but who's talking the talk. Operation Barbecue Relief, walking the walk. And hopefully next year we can do something a little bit more in advance. Stan was great in offering up the ticket in short notice, but I didn't really feel like we had enough time behind it to get after it. So if we can do it again next year, I'll be more than happy to do that, raise all the money we can for Operation Barbecue Relief. I'm with Greg on that. Fantastic organization, one that I love to get behind. Bill Gillespie coming up out of the break to talk about the American Royal Invitational win. But first, let me talk to you about Butcher's Barbecue, folks. That's right. Go to butcherbbq.com and step up that barbecue and grilling game. No easier way, no better way to do that than by visiting butcherbbq.com. We all know Butcher's well known for the injections. The pork, the beef, the prime injection. Of course, Bird Booster sweeping the nation, many different flavors. You can't bitch and moan about not being able to press flavor down into chicken anymore. Bird Booster takes care of that for you. Also adds moisture. 7% more. Or, I'm sorry, 3% more. You get 7% with regular brining. You get 21% with Bird Booster. You can use the injection doubly as a brine, as an injection, or vice versa. You get it all at butcherbbq.com. If you're not looking for injections or you're looking for something other than injections like rubs and sauces, this is a great place to go as well. Butcher's Barbecue, a full line of award-winning rubs. Steak and brisket rub. Premium rub, especially if you inject with Butcher's, because it's formulated to work with the injection. A perfect 1-2 punch to impress judges and friends alike. My favorite, which is part of my originally crafted North Coast offense, the honey rub. Buy by the 5-pound bag, folks. Not kidding. Last but not least, Butcher's sweet barbecue sauce. Look, when it comes to sauce, I am as picky as it gets. And Butcher's sweet sauce wins in every category for me. Not overly sweet, a nice slice of tang, just the right amount of back-end heat, not leaving you aching and crying like a chili head would. No liquid smoke, which I appreciate. Dave took the time and effort to make a quality sauce. Didn't take the easy way out like a lot of those other sauces do. Get a box of 6, it's going to go fast. Here's what we learned during this read. Buy a 5-pound bag of honey rub, buy 6 bottles of barbecue sauce. They will both go fast. Don't worry about breaking the bank on shipping. Between $55 up to $55 ships at $8.50. Between $55 and $200 ship at $9.75. Anything over $200 ships for free. Moral of that story, get $201 worth of stuff, save on the shipping. Head on over to butcherbbq.com right now and stock up. That's butcherbbq.com, butcherbbq.com. Dave, available for taking questions, too. Email him, see what happens. Might be surprised. Guy likes to get after it. See him at a contest, ask him some questions. I'm sure he's got product to sell you, too. Always trust your butcher. That's what we say here on this show. We are back with Bill Gillespie American Royal Invitational reigning champion right after this. Stick around. Be right back.
Broadcasting live from the BBQ Central Radio Network studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the BBQ Central Radio Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Lampe.
All right, welcome back. 216-220-0966. Greg at the BBQCentralShow.com. This portion of the show brought to you by CookinPellets.com, COOKIN, CookinPellets.com. Your number one source for quality wood pellets for all of your pellet-driven cookers. Not going to void any warranties. I said last week, don't fall for that. Visit CookinPellets.com for more information or to purchase. You can also buy their pellets on a little site called Amazon.com. It's up and coming. Heard it might make it. Heard it might get legs. Thank you to Chris Becker and the gang over at CookinPellets.com. American Royal was this past weekend. Two of the coveted top spots were won, and I have the pitmaster of the event that many pitmasters feel is truly the showcase day of the best going up against the best. He marked in at 701.7 points to win overall grand championship at the American Royal Invitational Saturday. Let's go ahead and race over to the hotline and welcome back pitmaster of Smokin' Hogs Barbecue team, Bill Gillespie, joining me. Bill, how are you, buddy?
Hey, good, Greg. How you doing?
Doing absolutely fabulous, Bill. Appreciate you making time for the show tonight. Lots to get
pleasure.
to. Man, you got to be riding high right now. I mean, New England barbecue once again dominating the barbecue scene, right?
That's right. Yeah, I'm still riding that cloud. It's I'm still in awe of the whole thing, to be honest with you.
Bill, you're obviously up in the New England area. I had a guy by the name of Patrick Paquette sitting live in studio 2 weeks ago when he was heading out to the Sam's Club National Championship.
Know him very
final.
well. Good friend.
Nebs is huge up there for obvious reasons, a very tight-knit group organization. Do you think, as you travel around and you see different barbecue regions and communities, do you think that the New Englanders are getting the proper respect when it comes to the competition scene?
I think we are now. A couple of weeks ago, a few of the New England teams went out to Bentonville and, did pretty well. Insane Swine, I think they finished third with a 700. And obviously this weekend, us winning the American Royal Invitational. I think it's coming around.
Bill Gillespie, my guest. Bill, if we could recap the weekend, because obviously it's probably very long. Kind of, right off the bat, kind of a bit of a hike for you to get out there, right?
Yeah, actually, we flew in this time. We had another good friend of ours from Good Smoke out in New York take a bunch of our stuff to Kansas City, and my sponsor, Humphrey's Barbecue, shipped out a bunch of smokers, and we rented tents and tables and chairs and bought all of our seasonings and rubs out there and, try to make it as easy as possible for us, really.
So one of my other questions was going to be the fact that, you cook both ends of the weekend, the invitational, the open side.
Yep.
So did you do like any prep work or anything like that prior to people shipping stuff out? That was all the stuff that you did on site. Was you did that there at the Royal?
I did it all on site.
Wow.
Yep. I went out there with my briskets. I bought my butts, my ribs, and my chicken out there.
Is it when you go to I don't want to say it's not a regular competition like the Royal, but Royal is certainly different. But when you're just doing barbecue competitions up where you would normally go, is prep something that you do during the week so you have that done? So when you get to the site, you set up and you're ready to rock? Or do you typically do preparation on all those meats at site regardless?
I do. I pretty much just prep my chicken at home. Everything else I do on site. All
right, Bill. So let's take a look at your results at turn-in. and 165 teams for this particular event. I guess maybe before we get specific on the individual categories, was there anything like out of the ordinary that you had to contend with for the invitational side, something that maybe you weren't planning on that you had to overcome as you got down the road to win here?
I mean, it got a little chilly out, but, I mean, we're kind of used to that up here in the Northeast. Had a little bit of rain, Thursday. Friday, it was a little windy, but I don't think there was anything out of the ordinary, really.
All right, Bill Gillespie, by the way, my guest, pitmaster of Smokin' Hogs Barbecue Team, the American Royal Invitational Grand Champion. Chicken is first up. You end up taking what's 46th overall. I mean, again, we're dealing with 165 teams here, not your standard 25, 35, or 40. So all things considered, a very good chicken score, but you're probably not hearing your name called out for 46th place, right?
No, not at all. So a little, I mean, like you said, 165 teams, no chicken call, I was happy with the score. I think it was like a 171 or 172, something like that. So, I thought it was good. I thought we had a good chicken day.
Are you a team that I just done the chicken roundtable here a couple of weeks ago? Are you a team that proactively will taste chicken before you put it in the box and turn it in, or do you just because of experience and program, you don't taste it, you know what you're doing, and you just let it ride?
Yeah, funny story on that is we don't usually taste it until after my wife comes back from turning. We'll temp it to make sure it's at temp, but I feel that it's pretty consistent with that program, week in and week out, that it's not going to vary, too much.
Do you? Is there any thought behind waiting to taste to kind of see what the judges are tasting at that point? Obviously, the chicken's going to cool down between the time you're putting it in the box and by the time that they're tasting it, so you guys can kind of see if you hit your mark at that particular temperature when you think they might be tasting it.
Yeah, definitely that. I mean, I know it's definitely risky doing that, but if by doing that, it kind of helps us out in the long run, I think, with future contests. Like I said, I think our program's pretty consistent where the taste or whatnot doesn't vary too much.
All right, so we have ribs up next. Consistent overall, you got a 47th in ribs. How did the ribs feel for the cook that day?
I thought they were right on point with what we've been doing all year. I thought they had a good balance of flavor, and we were real happy with them.
So 2 no calls. Again, you're dealing with a lot of teams, and this isn't your first American Royal, so I'm sure you're kind of geared up for it. But then you get into pork, and third overall pork. So you not only are you hearing your name, which is great, but you also are very close to taking that category. So how does the mood change when you hear a third pork?
That was awesome because pork has been so up and down for us this year, and just to get that third place call this past weekend, that was the pinnacle right there at that point. We could have went away from that weekend completely satisfied at that point.
But let's not stop there. Let's go to brisket. I mean, talk about consistent. 46, 47 chicken ribs, third place pork, third place brisket. So not only 2 calls, but 2 right at the top. So now you got to be feeling kind of like a renewed sense of awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And they made the announcement that the top 3 in brisket were, had a 180. And I'm pretty confident with that brisket all year. Like, it's been doing well. And when we tasted it before turn-in, we were all pretty excited about how it tasted. And we had a good feeling that we could get a call in brisket.
So are you keeping track once you get to the overall awards? Are you trying to keep track of the teams that are getting those top calls in each category, or because it's so many, do you just say, F it, we're going to kind of see where the chips fall?
Well, with the third place pork, you figure you're pretty close to a 178, 179, and having the 180 in brisket, I felt we had a chance of maybe making like the top 15 with something like that, not knowing how we did in the other two categories. We obviously nervous, because you can't think that that you have it in the bag, you know what I mean? So I'm always nervous at awards anyway.
So as you are hearing overall calls out, just lost my page, damn it. When it's, three places left, you hear reserve called out. Is there any thought in your mind that you're grand champion at this point because of the high threes, both pork and brisket?
Yeah, well, I when they called reserve, Loot and Booty had I think a first place chicken and a seventh place rib.
Yep.
So when they didn't call either one of us for reserve, I thought Loot and Booty had got GC, and I thought we didn't do well enough in the other categories to make I think it was the top 15 or top 10, I forget what they called. So at that point, I was just I was kind of accepting the fact that it didn't happen, So I didn't want to get my hopes up too high.
So when the call comes out that Smokin' Hogs is American Royal Invitational Grand Champ, what are some of those first emotions that are kind of washing over you?
Yeah, holy crap! I just can't believe this happened. The three of us just all hugged each other. I thought I was going to pass out at that point. And I turned around and I couldn't get down to the stage fast enough, to be honest with you.
Bill Gillespie joining me here on the show, Pitmaster Smokin' Hogs, talking about the win American Royal Invitational this past weekend. Bill, since you're kind of in the small majority here, let me ask you, since I have you tonight. You've also won the Jack Daniels.
That's correct.
For anybody that's been living under rock. So you have American Royal Invitational Championship on the belt now. You have Jack Daniels on the belt. If you had to give one back, and it would be scrubbed from memory, so nobody would remember you won one or the other. Which one would you give back and why? And don't puss out. Give one back.
Man, if I had to give one back.
If you had to give one back.
I'm going to say it's the American Royal.
Really?
And I'm going to tell you why.
All right.
Because the Jack was our very first world championship. So that right there is your very first one. I want to remember that one for the rest of my life.
Very valid answer, and I appreciate you actually answering that, because I'm sure a lot of people would try to have I want both, and I'm going to keep both. The good news keeps coming. Aside from winning the American Royal Invitational, there's some other things, I guess, you would call business related to Smokin' Hogs. One of those happens to be a cookbook. So if you could maybe give me a little insight as to how that all came about, and maybe what you're looking to accomplish with the book effort.
Sure. So I got approached in this past January, see if I was interested in writing a cookbook, just from our past awards and stuff like that. I've never done anything like this, so I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. And it's basically it's a cookbook based around the WSM, but it's not all WSM. You can a lot of the recipes you can use on other cookers and stuff like that. You just got to adapt the recipes a little bit.
Are you someone that has fancied yourself a writer in the past, or is this all kind of new?
No, God, no. English was my worst subject in high school. So to be writing a cookbook, I thought, what the hell am I doing, But I enjoy cooking, and so I figured it was a good opportunity.
Do you have a release date marked out yet, or is it still really in more of the infancy yet?
Yep. No, I have a release date. It's being released March 17th. It's being published by Page Street Publishing and distributed by Macmillan. And it's March 17th, and you can pre-order it now on Amazon.com.
All right. And the name of the book, by the way,
it's a long title. It is Cooking. Hold on, I'm just trying to think of the name. Sorry.
It must be long.
Smoking on the Weber Smoky Mountain Secrets to Cooking on the Weber Smoky Mountain and Other Smokers.
Wow. All right. So are there benchmarks put in place where if the book does this well, you immediately sign to another deal, or is it just a one-off, or what's the deal with that?
There could be a possibility for another deal, yes.
Would you do that?
Oh, yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think I would definitely do another one. I mean, as I got towards the end of, I had to come up with 100 recipes. As I started to finish those, I understood what needed to be done to do the recipes. So I kind of started to enjoy it a little bit more as the deadline approached.
Bill Gillespie joining me here on the show. Aside from the book, I mean, what's better than barbecue sauce? And you got one of those coming out.
I do.
Man,
yep.
You win the American Royal, and there's books, and there's sauce. I mean, this is going crazy for Smoking Hogs.
Yeah, the sauce is something that we've been working on for the last year and a half. And we kind of finalized it over this past off season. And, I wanted to use it in competition this year. And my teammates were a little reluctant, but they kind of jumped on board. I said, we're never going to know how it does unless we try it. And we've been using it all year long, and we've been pretty successful with it this year.
Bill, barbecue sauce anymore seems to be a dime a dozen. So was it a calculated risk, or were you approached to get a product out to market? I mean, how was that?
No, it was all on our own. We just, we wanted the challenge of, coming up with something of our own, and we wanted to do a competition-style sauce, because that's pretty much what we do, competitions. And, we just kind of came up with it, so...
Now, is that available for sale currently, or does that also have a quote-unquote release date?
It's not available yet. And from what I understand, I think it's going to be available around November 1st, sometime November, I believe.
All right, so less than a month or so away.
Yep.
Are you? I would imagine that you're obviously happy with the final product. When you have to put it in the hands of the co-packer, are they giving you any type of pushback, like, oh, no, do this instead or do that instead, or were you in complete command from start to finish as far as the recipe?
A little bit of pushback, but, I wasn't willing to sacrifice the flavor of the recipe, I wanted it a certain way because that's what we use in competition, and I can't change it. So, ultimately I had the final decision.
How big is the jar going to be, and what kind of a price tag do you think is going to be associated?
I'm sorry, you said what kind of jar is it going to be in?
Like, how big of a jar?
There's going to be 16-ounce jars, and I think eventually there's going to be gallon size. Still trying to finalize the prices, so I don't want to say anything too much about that yet, but it's not going to be ridiculous. It's going to be comparable to the other stuff that's out there.
And is this something that's going to be sold in storefronts? Is it going to be just sold on internet or both?
Yeah, it'll be both. Yep. It'll be. I know you'll be able to get it through the iGrill store. Working on updating my website so you can buy it through my website. I know one of my sponsors is going to be carrying it. Humphrey's Barbecue and Smokers is carrying it.
So you're just rocking and rolling right now. It's Bill Gillespie, Smoking Hogs Barbecue, and he is the reigning American Royal Invitational Grand Champion. Bill, always appreciate the time. Congratulations again on the huge win. And you going to be heading down to the Jack this year?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we're leaving in a couple of weeks to go down there and hopefully walk away with the crown again. That's the intention. Well,
you win. You come back, and we'll talk about how you're having one hell of a year, my friend.
Awesome. Thank you. Hey, do you mind if I give a shout-out to a few people?
Please.
All right. I'd like to thank a couple of my sponsors, iGrill, Humphrey Smokers, Frontier Charcoal, Head Country Barbecue, and Butcher's Barbecue. And, say hi to all my barbecue peeps out there.
All right, Bill, appreciate the time, man.
All right, thanks, Greg. We'll talk to you soon.
There he is. Bill Gillespie, Smoking Hogs Barbecue, your 2014 American Royal Invitational Grand Champion. Little bit of an issue with the video. That should have rectified itself. Don't worry, as I always say, I'm recording this show audibly. Hey, some people don't like my face, and they prefer to just listen to TuneIn on the smart app, on your smartphone, or just going right to the computer and just listening to the audio stream on the computer while you're tooling around the internet watching porn or whatever it is. It's up to you. But the video should be back up and running again. So all is good. Just in time for the Genie's interview coming up in just a few minutes. Public service announcement to all the barbecue brothers and sisters from one of your show sponsors, Stephan DiFranco of Stephan DiFranco Jewelers. That's right, folks. He is a barbecue junkie. He is self-professed. Talked to him over the weekend. He's barbecuing, of course. Number of great holidays coming up. We're tailing off till the end of the year here. We have Thanksgiving coming up. We have Halloween coming up. Christmas, New Year's, all that stuff. Don't settle for all the same lame gifts. Stephan DiFranco Jewelers has the perfect answer, and you know it's a new watch, Steve. An incredible selection of watches. That'll be perfect for dear old dad or mom. Bulova watches. Here's what I want to see. Why spend a ton of money on a watch if you don't have to? Bulova watches are stylish, affordable. They start around $200. Bulova watches come in traditional quartz styles and retro-styled automatic versions. Chronographs, skeletons, and traditional styles fill out the Bulova line of timepieces. You have the Bulova Precisionist. I have one of those. Do you want the most accurate watch in the world? Of course you do. Bulova Precisionist is just that watch. Exclusive movement of the Precisionist breakdowns second-hand movements into 16 segments per second, giving that second hand a smooth-moving appearance. Steel titanium versions are available. And then you have the Accutron. I have one of those too. High-end without the high-end price. Cadillac in the Bulova line. The Accutron is the pinnacle of high-end design without the breaking the bank, starting at just below $600. The Accutron watch gives you that high-end lifestyle quality and lifestyle without breaking the bank. If you are a gadget junkie, Citizens is the one you might want to look at. EcoDrive technology, converting light into energy, powering your watch perfectly and accurately. Need a timer for your barbecue cooking? Some Citizens have multiple timers along with alarms and time zones. All watches from Stephan DiFranco Jewelers come with the exclusive watch performance package that includes a 1-year extension of the manufacturer's warranty, free engraving, free watch batteries for life, free polishing cloth. He'll set the time for free, that being Steve. Here's what you do. You call him not toll-free, 440-943-2700, 440-943-2700. Tell him you are a barbecue brother or sister. He'll give you the real discounted price of the watch. Not allowed by the manufacturer to show the real discounted price on his website. So you call him up, ask for Steve, tell him you're a barbecue brother or sister, tell him you know me, tell him I told you to call. You're going to hook it up. I mentioned free shipping, StephanDiFranco.com. That's StephanDiFranco.com. Follow the link on the main website. Go from there, call Steve. He'll hook it up. All right, Steph Franklin will be recapping a 97-team victory this past weekend in Cali, Dana Point. Anybody know Trapper from Dana Point? You stay tuned for that. We'll be right back.
Get in the smoke. Call 877-448-0433 to get on the air. Now, here's your host, Greg Lampe.
pitmaster of Simply Marvelous Barbecue and 50% of the West Coast offense. Steph Franklin joining me here on the show. Steph, how are you, buddy?
I'm good, Greg. How you doing?
Well, evidently, I don't know how to turn on my own damn microphone. I've only been doing the show for 8 years. Jeez, oh, Pete. That's why you couldn't hear me a second ago. Steph, did you give any thought about running out to good old Kansas for the Royal this year, or no?
No, my full-time job doesn't allow me to escape for that week because we start school the weekend of the Royal, or the Thursday prior to the Royal. I think they'd look at me crazy if I told them I was going to be gone a week to.
Well, my day job, your day job, the same. We can't escape.
Yep.
We are locked down. That's just the way it is. That's why I didn't go either. All right, so instead of Royal, you go to Dana Point. There's only a very small handful of teams, 97. Oh, my goodness.
Yep, 97. California record.
How does that weekend go for you? I mean, lots of great teams out there. Anything unexpected that you have to contend with, or is it pretty much business as usual for Simply Marvelous Barbecue team?
It's business as usual. Big contest, small contest doesn't make a difference. They're all hard. Sometimes the smaller ones are harder, and you just go to win, or you go to put 4 good boxes. You hope together, and hopefully you come out on top that day. And it's rare when you come out on top, but when you do, you feel good about it.
Steph, I was going to ask you, and you kind of just answered this, but when you're dealing with fields at 97 or greater, I mean, hell, it might as well be 100 or more at that point. Do you think that the best product always shines through regardless of how many teams are in a tournament, or do you think that the higher the amount of teams in a field, there might be a zinger that flies by that maybe normally wouldn't otherwise?
It's tough to say. I've turned in good meat at big contests before and not got called. So, I just hope that I do enough contests where it balances out. I mean, to be honest, every week I try to put good meat in the box, but the judges don't feel that way every week. And when they do, I tend to do very well. And also, I'm my own worst critic. I sat there Saturday a little upset because I thought my brisket was a little chewy, and I was telling Sylvie from Lady Q that I need a top 20 brisket to have a chance, and I came in at 20th in brisket, and so I kind of predicted that. But in terms of if I had a chance to win, I know I was cooking good. I've been cooking good for the last few contests. I had a little hiccup in Telluride. The altitude got to me trying to cook hot and fast on backwoods. It just would not complete the cooking process in terms of my meat. So, but outside of that, after Telluride, I bounced back pretty good, because I RGC'd Grand Junction, so I had that one hiccup out of 4 contests. But I feel I'm cooking good right now. I think I got the flavor profile, the tenderness the judges want, and right now, anyway, you tend to lose that during the season. I know I was struggling in ribs for about 4 or 5 contests, couldn't get a call, and my buddy Sterling had tasted one of my ribs at Grand Junction, and he said I was making them too sweet, and so I even though I got a nice place call, I knew that if I was going to continue to have a good season, that I had to get back the ribs, because the ribs will carry me pretty much early in the season. So I was able to bounce back and then make a more savory profile for the judges and get a couple of back-to-back first-place rib calls.
Steph Franklin joining me here, Simply Marvelous Barbecue, simplymarvelousbbq.com, the website if you want to check it out here while we're talking. Steph, as far as category results, 13th chicken, so just outside the top 10 there. If you don't get a chicken call, Steph, are you, I don't want to say bummed, but I mean, obviously you would maybe rather hear your name and feel like you're getting a little bit of a momentum going.
Well, they called out the 15, so I knew that wasn't a mystery meat. Now, my pork carried me through the middle of the season, And I'm cooking pork, probably the best I ever cooked in my life, and I finished up what I found out to be 17th.
Yeah.
So I was right there. You got to be in the top 20 in a big contest like that. And then, of course, like I said, the brisket came in at 20th. So,
but you win the ribs. So obviously, a little bit of tinkering there, courtesy of a little feedback of Sterling, and you're able to pull the rib win off. So you get you hear your name in chicken, you win ribs category. You don't hear for pork or brisket, but I'm guessing you're feeling pretty confident about those two. So as you get into the overall calls, as they're starting to wind down, and there's only a handful of spots left. When you hear your name twice, you don't hear your name twice. Your thoughts as your pitmaster for the team, do you think that you've crapped the bed a little bit on pork and brisket inherently, or do you feel good enough that you're just kind of peeking around the call and you're still in this thing for the hunt?
Well, I was just hoping for a top 5 call. You know, I figured they're going to, I got hammered in either pork or brisket, and I figured it was brisket. I figured my pork would probably be right there. So, you know, Wild Willie had 4 calls. Lady Q had, I believe, 3 calls. Wild Willie had 3 calls. Lady Q, I think, had 2 calls. Zizix had a couple of calls. Once Wild Willie got called at 4th, I was like, maybe. And everybody was telling me, I got it. I got it.
Love hearing that, right?
Excuse me?
So you love hearing that, right?
Yeah, and I was telling everybody, I got screwed in brisket. I'm good. Yeah, I mean, not so much screwed. I didn't have great brisket that day. And everybody kept telling me, Burning and Luton was right next to me along with Zizix. And they kept telling me I had it, and I was like, nah. Then they called Zizix, and they was like, nobody's left, Steph. It's got to be you. And I was like, I don't know. You know, I didn't ever think I got it. I mean, I've got a 1-3-1-3 and was sitting on pins and needles before when I got my first GC. So I never think I got it. You know, I don't know. It's just, I just know how hard this barbecue thing is, and I try to keep humble, and because I think when you get a little big-headed, that's when you get your feelings hurt.
Yeah, Steph Franklin joining me here, recapping the big win at Dana Point. So when you are announced as the winner, I mean, this isn't, you know, your run-of-the-mill 25-team type of a competition, which would be great to win as well. But, I mean, we're talking 97 teams. How does this one rank in comparison to, you know, some of the other events that you've won?
It's got to be number one. I mean, really, I won. It's the biggest contest I ever won. 1, 2, I locked down the California Team of the Year. It was Dana Point. We had one more contest out here in California, but I'm catering 2 weddings that day in Lancaster, and I said it's all a broke at Dana Point for me. I had a 6-point lead because I took Jerry, and I've been tied since the end of June from Vernon and Luton, and it was all or nothing basically, you know, because I know Jerry's a good cook, and he could have came back and caught me at Lancaster if I didn't get an RGC 3rd place or above. So it's up there. It's big. The big contest had avoided me in terms of winning a 300-pointer. I always get the 280 points or what have you, but I'll always RGC the big ones. I've RGC'd the big ones, not all of them, of course, but so anyway, it's my biggest win, I think, to date.
Yeah, good to push over the hump and get into that GC. As far as business, I mean, look, you are I'm not giving up any secrets to the fact that you're 50% of this West Coast offense, which I'll have another question about that here in a second. But on a business standpoint, you win a 97-team category. You win something like a Dana Point. Is that something that you and Sterling are going to see immediate benefits from when you guys specifically win something like this?
Well, it's not just me. It's, you know, when he wins, when I win, when Luton Booty Sterling, who you have on later in the show, RGC to American Royal. You know, we got David Qualls, Travis Clark, who are teams I sponsor. They're all doing well. I mean, the first place ribs at American Royal was one of the teams I sponsor, Smokers Purgatory. I'm going to reap the benefits, just not from me, but from all of my teams that we sponsor and all the folks that use Simply Marvelous and Big Poppa Smoker rubs.
All right, so let me ask you this one question here before I turn you loose, Stephan. I appreciate the time tonight. Sterling has been on the show a number of times on any number of occasions talking about West Coast offense. No, Centralites refuse to listen for whatever reason. So if you could, please explain and tell them what exactly the West Coast offense really means.
Well, it's really just tongue-in-cheek, as Sterling has pointed out before. It's just two guys with who like to use each other rubs, started using it, and other folks followed suit, and we all started calling it the West Coast offense. But essentially, Sterling has mastered, perfected the savory rubs with the money, the sweet money. I have, what I like to think, have done okay with the more high-profile flavored rubs such as cherry and sweet seduction, or sweet rubs, as some folks will refer to. In this game of barbecue, you got to have something sweet and you got to have something savory. You got to have the perfect balance, and the West Coast offense is that perfect balance. So that's what it's all about. It's about a balanced offensive attack, and we are changing the profile across the nation. I'm happy about that. I'm humbled by that because I never thought it would turn into this. Of course, you wish for these things and you dream about these things, but it's unreal. It's unreal.
Steph, where are you going to be cooking at next?
I don't know, Greg. I said I was shutting it down for the season, but I might sneak in and go to Lawson, just because, Yeah. But I really said I was going to shut it down for the season, but if I could sneak away and head out to Laughlin Thursday morning, Halloween weekend, I will.
All right, so teams going out there, you're on notice. Steph might show up. We're talking with Steph Franklin, pitmaster, Simply Marvelous Barbecue, and again, the website, simplymarvelousbbq.com. Your grand champion this past weekend at Dana Point, bettering 96 teams. Steph, always appreciate the time, man. Thanks for coming on.
Greg, thanks for having me. Have a good week.
You got it. Same to you.
All right, sir.
Steph Franklin. Simply Marvelous Barbecue. SimplyMarvelousBBQ.com, again, is the website. By the way, he mentioned her 2 or 3 times there briefly. But I want to give special mention to loyal Centralite and pitmaster of Lady Q, Sylvie Curry. 3rd overall finish, Dana Point. Huge. It's a big contest now. You go through the list of teams that were there, see who she bested. Only bested by 2, I might add, was Sylvie Curry, taking a 3rd overall. So that's a big contest. No stranger. Well done, Sylvie. All right, let's do this real quick, and then we'll wrap up the first hour, head into the second hour. Oddly enough, I'm going to talk to you about Big Poppa Smokers. The one-stop shop for anyone interested in barbecue, featuring a comprehensive selection of all American-made grills, spices, sauces, accessories, even a kit that gives you everything you need to make a world-class smoker out of a 55-gallon drum. Big Poppa Smokers has made a name for itself by making an award-winning line of championship rubs. The rubs have won almost every major competition barbecue event, including the 2012 and 13 World Series of Barbecue in Kansas City, the 2012 Jack Daniels Invitation, 2013 Kingsford Challenge, 2014 Houston Livestock and Rodeo, 2014 Dana Point Contest. Big Poppa's has also banded together with fellow California rub-based maker Simply Marvelous Barbecue. Just on the show to form what's known as the West Coast offense, defying conventional wisdom. These 2 California-based rub manufacturers have cornered the market on competitive barbecue and begun to redefine the flavor profile that competitive cooks from across the country have begun to aim for. They've even created their own unique competitions. King of the Smoker, everybody knows about that, which brings the best of the best in barbecue head-to-head in a back-to-basics competition. King of the Smoker is unique in the fact that contestants cannot use any electric device, such as a pellet cooker or a pit minder. Contestants only allowed to use charcoal, wood, and their wits to win one of the most high-stakes barbecue competitions around. Then, of course, the Big Poppa Smokers Guinea Pig, which is a cost-controlled event that helps bring in newcomers to competitive barbecue. Bringing in people. Brilliant. Also features prize distribution all the way down to 10th place in each category. That helps provide incentive keep new competitors coming into the barbecue world. Keep them in, bring them in, keep them in. That's what I say. Top of all that, Big Poppa's has created a unique brand ambassador program, the Big Poppa Smokers Elite Team, featuring 15 of the best competition teams in the country working together to promote camaraderie, competition barbecue, and to benefit children's charities across the United States. Keep in mind that Big Poppa Smokers has been able to do all of this within only 4 years of being in business, turning the competition barbecue world on its head, creating their own unique competitions, becoming a staple of a nationwide restaurant chain, and benefiting children's charities across the U.S. It's just the beginning for Big Poppa Smokers. BigPoppaSmokers.com is the website, BigPoppaSmokers.com. Send them any questions. You hear from my guy Sterling Ball every once in a while here on this show. You just heard from Steph Franklin. The West Coast offense creators. And you heard them. There's no rhyme or reason to West Coast offense. Tongue-in-cheek. So stop sending me the emails for crying out loud. I will tell you about the North Coast offense, though. Maybe top of the second hour. All right. We're back to wrap up the first hour right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Big name interviews, advice on cooking brisket and ribs, and the only host willing to share his honest opinion on all things important in the world of barbecue. It's the BBQ Central Show.
Back 216-220-966. Greg at the BBQCentralShow.com. Make sure I'm giving Sterling Smith my proper Skype. Evidently, there's 2 other Greg Rempes on Skype. I am BBQ, the numeral 4, the word you. No, you. That's right. BBQ, the numeral 4, the word you, Y-O-U. Thanks again to Steph Franklin for joining me this past segment, recapping his win at Dana Point, not going to the American Royal. I got a lot of questions about why I'm not going to the American Royal. Look, we've had this discussion 7 times or 15 times or 20 times. This year was multiple reasons. Number 1, job. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, but perhaps even more importantly, I'm still not sure that I can get high-speed wired internet into my setup. I'm not going to travel 1,800 miles to the country and not be able to hardwire in somewhere in reliance of just Wi-Fi cards. We know what happens with Wi-Fi cards, right? They crap out at the worst possible time. I'm getting ready to relay who's ready to take the cake, and then the Wi-Fi crash. No! Where'd he go? He left again! Yeah, trust me, it happens. All too often it happens. And that's what everybody would be talking about. Oh, I was listening to the BBQ Central show, and they were getting ready to call out the winners. And the feed crapped out. Oh, I hate it. I don't want that. That's going to be a problem. I'm not going to be the guy that says no offense and then wind up offending somebody. I've seen that happen on people that do that video stuff. Not good. Not a good product. I'm a product. Sylvie Curry using the West Coast offense. She'll be giving out her full recipes after the show in instant chat. Just kidding. She's not really going to do that. I mean, she can do that if she wants. I'm just kidding. All right, we're going to reload here for the second hour. Also, in the first hour, I want to thank Bill Gillespie from Smokin' Hogs, recounting his win at the American Royal Invitational. And, for point of note, he said if he had to give one back, because he has won the Jack Daniels as well, if he had to give one back, he would give back the American Royal. I don't know if it's necessarily because the Jack is the first one he won, but he's won a big one, so, just give back the one that's fresh. I mean, ain't nobody got time for that. American Royal Invitation. Come on. The good news is he gets to keep both and brag on both, that he has won the American Royal Invitational and the Jack Daniels. Both argued, ballyhooed, and bantered about being the most prestigious to win. He doesn't need to make that argument. He's got them both. Few do. He does. All right, we will step away, reload for the second hour, and I will see you back here in just a few short minutes. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show right here on the Barbecue Central Networks.
This is Maddie Lampe from Cleveland, Ohio, and you're listening to BBQ Central.
From my heart and from my hand, why don't people understand my intention?
Happy to have you aboard here for the really big barbecue show.
We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to.
Fine, how's it going?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan. So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead, and he's in the crackle.
Charbono! It's all about the Charbono, dude!
Succulent fish, what?
He ate 54 wieners.
But listen, Lavernius, shake a face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seeds.
We have top men working on it right now. Who? Top men.
All right, just like that, we are into the second hour. Diane Me, live and direct from Rapid City, South Dakota. That's a real place? Problem. Folks you've reached and or stumbled upon by mistake or by choice. The Barbecue Central Show. This is a show that talks about all things important in the world of barbecue and grilling. We broadcast live and direct from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city of Cleveland, Ohio. It is the barbecue capital of the North Coast. I am Greg Rempe, your program host. Happy that you have decided to make me a part of your evening this evening. And we'll see what we can get into here in the second hour. Everybody's very excited. Got a lot of great guests lined up here for the second hour. We'll get to that here in a second. If you want to jump in, more than happy to have you. 216-220-0966. You can also email the show, greg@thebbqcentralshow.com. If you missed the first hour, shame on you. You've missed fabulous guests like American Royal Invitational Grand Champion Bill Gillespie from Smokin' Hogs. Yes, sir. You've also missed Dana Point, Grand Champion, Pitmaster of Simply Marvelous, Steph Franklin. Shame on you. Never fear, you can go back and get the show on replay. YouTube's, iTunes, Outdoor Cooking Channel, my website. I mean, can't not find it. If you can't find a replay of the show, you're not looking hard enough. On the show next week, actually still to come on the show tonight, in about 12 minutes from now, Ask Dr. BBQ Ray Lampe. Looking forward to that conversation. And then at 10:35, Sterling Smith, Loot and Booty, talking about the American Royal Open Reserve Grand Championship. Excited to talk to him on the show next week. The second Tuesday of every month brings none other than Beat It! Right? And in 2 weeks' time, so that would be the 21st, I'm going to have the owners of Tech Grills, TEC, Bill Best and Rachel Best. Or it could be one or the other, depending on how it goes. But currently, we're set to have the pair on. Bill and Rachel Best of Tech. Now, Tech Grills is a brand that I have been a big fan of for years. If you're not familiar with Tech, you need to understand that they are the creators of infrared grills. They might even be the creators of like infrared technology. I think that they initially got into it from what I remember hearing. I'll ask them in 2 weeks. But I think they got into the infrared stuff on the car, on the automobile side of thing, where they used infrared heaters to bake the paint on cars, and then they got into the grill side of things as well. We'll be able to ferret that out here shortly, come next week, or come in 2 weeks' time. But just Google Tech Grills, go through some of the videos and see, what's rule number 2 of the show? Rule number 2 of the show, don't get hooked. I have been close the last number of times I've been in a Lowe's, and you see the Brinkman, there's a Brinkman, Charbroil, one of those, that have the true infrared, I think it's Charbroil, true infrared. They have the burner, then they have the flavorizer bar, and then they have the, I don't know, are they called diffuser plates that sit right below where the cooking grates are. Well, Tech Grill has something completely different. They have burners, but then they have like this thick glass that sits underneath the grill grates. Then you have your grill grates. So when the juices and stuff seep down, they don't hit heat at all. They hit the glass, and then they vaporize, so there's never a flare-up. That had been an improvement over their original-ish grill, which did have some open air, I believe, so there was some flare-up. But man, do I love me a Tech Grill, so we're going to be talking hot and heavy Tech Grills in a couple weeks when the bests, or at least a best, is on. Isn't that broiling? I don't know. Maybe. They're cool grills, Diane. Don't you question me. If you aren't familiar with how the American Royal went down this past weekend, let me give you some results. The top 10 in the American Royal Invitational. Chick, Swine, and Bovine was 10th, getting sauced, 9th, getting basted, 8th. True Bud Barbecue with a 7th place finish, very respectable. Big Brothers Barbecue, 6th. 1-2 BBQ, or barbecue, 5th place. Uncle Kenny's Barbecue, 4th place. Dr. Nordy's Barbecue, 3rd place. Dirt Road Barbecue, 2nd place. And as we talked to him in person, last segment, Smokin' Hogs Barbecue. Smokin' Hogs. And then you ballied about, rolled over, and got ready for the American Royal Open side of things. Wait, am I seeing that right? Number 10 in the Invitational, Chicks, Swine, and Bovine. Number 10 in the Open, Chicks, Swine, and Bovine. Look at this guy. 9th place, Crude Brothers Cooking Team. 8th place, the American Dream Barbecue Team. David Qualls. Pitmaster IQ Barbecue, 7th. Shake and Bake Barbecue 6th. Sons of Butchers 5th. Iowa's Smoky D's Barbecue 4th. Smokers Wild coming with a 3rd place overall. Sterling Smith, Loot and Booty Barbecue, who we'll be talking to in about 30 minutes from now. And taking top honors at the American Royal Open, Tuffy Stone Cool Smoke with a 702, almost 0.9, 702 and high 0.8 change. 702. 700, 701, 702, 123. Wow. That's a pretty high score there. Congrats to the American Royal Invitational and Open winners. People that are asking me, could you get Tuffy Stone on tonight? Did you try and get Tuffy Stone on tonight? I want to hear it. What do you think? I had the Invitational winner on. I went out to them. Do you think that I didn't reach out to Tuffy Stone? It's a long haul back from Kansas City, Missouri, to Virginia. And he didn't feel like he was going to be the best interview, so, we'll catch up with Tuffy on that. And I agree with Sylvie Curry. Congratulations, David, on the top 8. Just to give you some perspective for the folks that have no idea how big the Royal Open is, David Qualls finished 8th overall out of 552 teams. What? Finishing 100 or better puts you in the top 5th. People would take that. How did you finish 100th overall? Well, that's not very good. There's 552 teams, sir. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. No doubt about it. All right, let's get ready to line up Dr. Barbecue. Before we do that, let me talk to you quickly about Cookshack. If I'm not mistaken, Dr. Nordy's Barbecue uses Cookshack cookers for competition. If you need an idea for a cook, electric or pellet-driven or otherwise, think Cookshack first. Then think Cookshack second. Cookshack.com, the website, the phone number, 800-423-0698. Do you have somebody in the family that's a fishing or a hunting enthusiast? How about a Cookshack electric smoker? Maybe you have somebody in the house that's an enthusiast of something other than pellets. Cookshack electric smoker, right up their alley. Maybe they like to make jerky. You outdoorsy types like to make jerky or cold smoke, salmon, stuff like that. You can do that all on a Cookshack electric smoker. They have jerky rods. They have cold smoke baffles. Cold smoke baffle is something that you can make those lock-style salmon. You can cold smoke a steak and then finish it on a hot grill. Again, if you like making jerky, you will love how easy it is that the stainless steel jerky rods are to use. You just hang jerky strips on the rods and then fit those rods right into the smoker's side racks. Doesn't get any easier than that, and believe me, my father has a smokette. It's some of the best jerky you can make. I mean, you get the meat, eye of round, you get the cure, add the flavoring that you like, or maybe just like standard Jerky Jones. It's good. And stick it in the smokette. Man, you got jerky like it's going to... People will pretend they like you to get their hands on your jerky. People will be jerks about getting your jerky. You can also check out instructional videos on how to operate these units, the jerky rods or the cold smoke baffle, on the Cookshack YouTube channel, or the cooking guide on the Cookshack website, again, which is cookshack.com. Or, again, questions, call 800-423-0698. That's 800-423-0698 or cookshack.com. Don't delay. Order today. You can get smoking right now. Cookshack is smoking made simple. I got to look for Fast Eddie or Stuart Powell again here shortly. Love talking shop with those guys. Shop intended. Sterling Smith coming up at around 10:35, 10:36, and Ray Lampe coming up out of the break. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting live from the BBQ Central Radio Network studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the BBQ Central Radio Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right, welcome back. 216-220-0966 is the email address. No, that's the phone number. Greg at the BBQCentralShow.com is the email address if you want to jump in tonight. The first Tuesday of each month, of course, brings something like this.
Have you got questions about barbecue or grilling, maybe as a hobby or even a business? Looking to get an expert's point of view? Why not ask Dr. Barbecue? You can submit your questions by clicking on the Ask Dr. Barbecue tab on the website. The doctor is in. Here's Ray Lampe with his nurse, Greg Rempe. Dr. Barbecue.
That's right. It is Dr. Barbecue time. Ray, how are you, buddy?
I'm good, Greg. Good to see you, man.
All right. Well, let me see if I can't fiddle up your... that sounds weird. Let me see if I can't get your picture up here. For some reason, we're not seeming to do very well right off the top of this interview, but here you go, and I'll just make you bigger here as we start talking. So I introduce you as Dr. Barbecue, as the monthly guest that comes on, and we ask Dr. Barbecue this, and we ask Dr. Barbecue that, but today is a different day, a different Dr. Barbecue. What's different about this guy? I'm trying to put my hand... Oh, yeah, he's a Hall of Famer, Dr. Barbecue Ray Lampe. So now we can say, and Hall of Fame, Dr. Barbecue Ray Lampe. So perhaps this is the first interview you've done post getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. What's it like? I don't know many Hall of Famers. The only other Hall of Famer I've ever talked to in my life was Randy White on this show like 3 years ago when he was pitching some product to clean barbecue sauce off your shirt. But he was one of my idols growing up, so I had to take the interview. But I don't know if I've ever talked to any other Hall of Famer to date.
Well, I'm proud to be your first, Greg. Now, it is my first interview since, obviously, coming up from the American Royal. Takes a couple days to recover. But, yeah, it's a cool thing. It hadn't really sunk in yet. It's one of them things that's kind of, the long-term coolness of it is going to be a whole other thing. The hour of it on the stage and the party before and after was really cool. There's no question about that. But long term, it's a different thing, man. It's pretty cool.
So what is the actual experience like? You get out there, but for the people that don't know how the whole Hall of Fame ceremony goes down, and maybe your fellow inductees, obviously Pat Burke was there as well getting inducted, and somebody else that I'm going to not remember because I'm a shitty host.
But he's been dead for 75 years, the other guy. So.
Well, okay. Well, I won't feel that bad, but geez, I should know better. But what is that evening like for you? How do they lay it out? And I guess what were your thoughts of it as it goes down?
Well, I was there 2 years ago when they the first event at the American Royal. And, we snuck in with the Kingsford people, and they have what they call the Black Apron Party ahead of time. It's really just a way to round everybody up and make sure everybody's there when they're going to need them. And but it was nice, nice event with a few cocktails and a good photo taken op for everybody, and sort of, kind of get us in place to go, so it wasn't just random. So that was about an hour up in this room. Well, actually, before that, though, that was all scheduled. But at the last minute, they took me and Pat and Myron and Johnny, who are previous Hall of Fame inductees, into the American Royal Museum has dedicated now 2 walls for the BBQ Hall of Fame. And so this is a new display. Nobody had really seen it yet. So they took us in there and unveiled it for us. And they had a video guy in there. But then we sat down and just kind of shot the shit, me and Myron and Pat and Johnny, about what it's like and what we've seen along the way and how it's come and stuff. And it was really fun. We went way longer than we should have. They just wanted to do it for 10 minutes. And we went for a half hour and they had to stop us because we were having fun. And then we went up to the room and then all our friends and family were there. It's kind of tight, that party. And then we go out to the stage and they go down to right in front of the stage. And then afterwards, there's a big party that a lot more people are involved in. So it was really, really well done. And then, of course, on the stage, I mean, that's a whole other thing. But it's really well done. The American Royal really stepped up this year and did a nice job with it. It felt like a classy event all the way around.
Are you getting feedback, Ray?
Yeah, I am. I don't know.
All right, I'm going to hang up with you. I'm going to call you right back.
Oh, hang on. I got it. I'm sorry. I left the outdoor cooking channel on there, folks. Sorry about that.
All good now?
Yeah.
All right. Now I've lost my train of thought.
But I was actually listening.
Yeah, well, I mean, hey, I gotta make sure that I'm paying attention to everything that's happening. As far as the stage is concerned, are you like introduced by somebody that does like a talk up like they do for NFL stuff, or how does getting announced to the stage and what kind of a turnout are you getting at this type of a thing?
Well, the turnout was actually better than I thought it was going to be. It's on the big stage where there could be thousands of people. There was not. There was maybe 1,000. It was pretty spread out, but considering how many people are there. But, you know, the guys are busy. They're getting ready for their turn-ins. I understand it. It was actually not a bad turnout. It was better than I thought. But Guy's the host, so, you know, it's entertaining from square one with him. And Johnny was kind of acting as his sidekick, Johnny Trigg. And Guy was totally prepared, did a nice job. I mean, Henry Perry was kind of a wild card. I mean, he really is dead for 75 years, but he really is an important cog in the history of Kansas City barbecue. So it's legitimate, but it was kind of tough because they didn't have any background on the guy. He had no family. So they had a guy from the, I don't want to say this, the African American Museum or something in Kansas City. I don't know what the guy was, but he was real good, and it was all gracious and it was well done. And then Pat is, you know, everybody's mentor and everybody's grandfather. So Guy talked about him for a while. They had a little video, and then Mike Mills wanted to talk because Pat's like his best friend for 100 years.
Yeah.
And so Mike came and talked for a while, and then Myron wanted to talk because Myron considers Pat like his second only to his father, a mentor in his life. So it was, you know, a tough act to follow. And Pat's such a good dude, man. So it was just really nice. It was fun to sit there and watch that. You know, on the stage was me, Pat, the guy that was representing Henry Perry, and Johnny Trigg, and then Guy was doing all the talking. And then it was my turn. And Guy's my friend, man. He was my friend before he was on TV. So he really wanted to handle it for me, and he did a great job. Talked about, you know, made me sound a lot cooler than I actually was. But we actually did have some history, you know, and it was pretty cool of him to do that, and I really enjoyed it. And I can't wait to see it. And then I did get to talk for a few minutes, but just basically thank everybody. But one of the points I made when I did speak was the BBQ Hall of Fame is something that's been long overdue. You know, how did we go so long and not have one?
Yeah.
I really believe that it was just kind of like the Carolina people were never going to respect a Texas Hall of Fame, and Texas wasn't going to respect Kansas City, and so on.
Yeah.
And, you know, Mike Tucker and Ray Basso really started this thing with the intention of doing it right. It was just online at the time. But it really did. Everybody's done a good job of not letting it become the Kansas City, line up all the Kansas City guys and put them in there. And that's why I think it's taken some getting legs and coming around. But we're still way behind. One of the things I said on stage was, as I was walking through the American Royal, you see people like Chris Lilly, like Tuffy Stone, the Chris Marks and his family have been winning at the American Royal for 25 years.
Yeah.
Craig Kidwell, I asked him how many American Royals he's been to. He said 30. You know, so one of the points I made was, you know, I'm honored to be up there. It's like, why me ahead of these guys? There's so many guys that need to be there. But the good news is we now have a real Hall of Fame, and everybody will get there in due time.
Well, I think to your point, I think that that's a situation, as you're, I guess, getting is the point that you're getting at. That's a situation that's going to rectify itself over time. You do now have a valid Hall of Fame situation that people are going to be able to go to every year. It's like, Cooperstown, New York. It's like Canton, Ohio. I mean, nobody thinks football when they think of Canton, Ohio, other than the fact that that's where the NFL is. So, as you have said, and I ring your sentiments as well, it's good to see that other regions of barbecue are going to lend credibility to this taking place in Kansas City, but not necessarily, as you said, lining up the Kansas City guys and just throwing them in there. And there's certainly a lot of people that we could say should be in there, and people that I think should have been in there already, but I think that'll take place over the course of time. And I am happy that there is something substantial that you guys that have really paved the way and blazed the way. And look, barbecue, I mean, it's been around forever, but I mean, really, maybe like 30 years or so when it really started becoming popular. So it's not like all you guys are dead and we're looking back and putting you guys in, in posterity and stuff like that. I mean, you guys are still around. A lot of you guys are still competing. You're doing books, or you're on television, you're branched off in a whole bunch of other different ways. But I mean, you guys are still alive, for crying out loud. So, I'm happy to see that it was successful. But it's something that you believe is going to be around for a long time, and that people are going to get in that are deserving.
Yeah, and I'm going to help now too. It was a little awkward before. I know Fast Eddie was really put a lot into it. Rod Gray put a lot into it previously, and I appreciated that, and I wanted to help, but it's a little awkward. I know it's pompous to say, but I had to figure I was on somebody's list to possibly be in there, and I never wanted to appear to be lobbying for that. Now that I'm in, I can help. I will help. I think it's important. Weber's on board as a sponsor now. Yeti was on board as a sponsor. I wouldn't be surprised to see some other folks come on board as a sponsor. And I think the thing is really going to have legs now. And in my opinion, I like the fact that it's gone so slow. However, somewhere along the way, I think we need to put in an old-timers category, or just, open the gate one year and say, listen, we're putting 10 people in each category, just because there's so many overdue. But, you got to be careful with that. And frankly, I'm sure those trophies cost a lot of money.
Sure.
So, buying 30 of them would be no small thing. It's also heavy. I'll tell you something about the trophy. I don't have it here. Chris Capel's carrying it to Atlanta for me because I didn't want to fly with it. But they're really heavy and they're sharp. Mike Mills and Pat Burke both had Band-Aids on their hand in the same place where they cut themselves on it the other night.
Ray Lampe, Dr. Barbecue, joining us here on the show. drbbq.com is his website if you want to check him out here while we're talking. For the people that don't know, and you said Pat Burke is like, father to everyone and mentor to everyone, but for the people that are kind of on the fringe of barbecue and don't realize how successful this guy was in competitions, how instrumental he was into the growth of the sport. What are some of the memories or the reasons that you like Pat?
Well, I mean, for people that don't know, this is kind of interesting as well. We say not the Kansas City guys. Pat and Mike really never cooked Kansas City Barbecue Society events at all. Yep. Pat probably did later on, but Mike and Pat were Apple City Barbecue, and they made a huge name for themselves in the early 90s, winning 3 Memphis in Mays, and which nobody had done before. And they also won the Jack in that little span. They didn't cook for a long time together, but they really tore it up when they did. And so Mike pretty much retired. They retired at Apple City, but Pat kept cooking as Tower Rock, but really all Memphis and Mays. So a lot of the Kansas City Barbecue Society guys don't really know Pat, but anybody that's been around it for a long time knows him. The Memphis and May guys certainly know him, but he's won like 180 grands or something. I mean, some insane number, right? I don't know who's won more than that. Myron's won a lot, but I don't think he's won more than that. And just kept winning and winning. And Pat would cook with his family, and everybody you ever talked to that met him will tell you he helped them and was willing to help them. And that goes a long way. And he's just a really nice guy, man, really good guy.
Yeah, and super humble, because he was scheduled to actually be on the show last week, and then the last minute was like, I don't want to talk like that. It's not about me. I mean, it's about him because he's going to the Hall of Fame, but he didn't want to come across like it was about him. So, I respected that and then tried to backfill him with his buddy Mike Mills. That worked out horrifically because we weren't able to link up. But nevertheless, we'll have Mike on in a couple weeks' time to talk about that.
Well, when we got done, Pat thanked his family and he thanked God, and they walked away.
Yeah, well,
he is
certainly a great guy. And the other thing that I think is interesting, and unless I'm mistaken, when they were winning the Memphis and Mays, they're doing it with ribs, right?
I think so. Yeah, I don't like back then. I don't think everybody used to cook all three all the time. I ran into him one time, and I was telling him a story the other day in Iowa in the early '90s. There wasn't a lot of barbecue contests. He lived in Chicago. You had to cook where you could find, and I didn't know much about Memphis and May, but there was a contest in Cedar Rapids, so we drove over there, and we thought we knew how to cook. And those guys whipped our ass. Won all three. Well, no, they won all three. I think that day. So they would have cooked hog and shoulder and ribs. But I don't know. That's a question for somebody else. I'm not sure about the answer to that.
All right. Well, I'll probably ask Mike that in a couple.
I didn't answer in the year we've been doing this.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say, and I always hate to rely on memory, but I know Mike is, obviously revered for the ribs that he cooks, and it's always, you see him on television, he's always doing the ribs. So I want to say that those were the things that he won with, and I think that it's always special regardless of what you're winning. I mean, Chris has won it with the pork shoulders. I mean, he cooked frozen pork shoulders this year and won Memphis and May for the fourth time. Melissa Cookston and Myron have done it with whole hogs, but to me, it seems a little more special for a guy that does ribs because everybody can cook ribs. I mean, certainly everybody can cook pork shoulders too. Whole hog is way different. But for you to get over the hump on a Memphis and May and rib, I mean, that has to be a really good freaking rib.
Yeah, because, also with a shoulder and certainly with a hog, you've got different areas. You've got a whole line of story to tell the judge this part and that part and different things for him to taste. With a rib, okay, you got this end of the slab and that end of the slab. There's only so much you can go with, so it's got to be really good.
All right, we're not going to have enough time to get into questions tonight, but I do want to make sure that since we won't see you again until it's going to it's already October. It's going to be November. Oh, my God, the year is gone. What are you going to be up to the rest of the month, Ray?
I am going to be on the Talk again next week.
Really?
I'm going. They're taping it on Tuesday, and I think it airs Thursday. They're doing a tailgating thing, and every Thursday because CBS has got Thursday Night Football. So I'll be out there and on TV next Thursday on the Talk. And other than that, I'm doing a tailgating project, cookoffbeforekickoff.com. We still got that thing going. If you're a tailgater, a college tailgater, go to that website, cookoffbeforekickoff.com, and enter. Somebody's going to win $5,000 and 2 tickets to any bowl game.
What are you going to be? What are you going to be telling these broads on television next week? What are you going to be recipeing?
They'll probably get mad at me if I tell you.
Oh, all right. Well, forget it. Top secret.
They just told me that I had to include a dessert, so there's going to be a dessert, too.
All right, dessert it is. Ray Lampe is the doctor of barbecue. You can find him at drbbq.com. Next month, we will actually get to questions, and specifically Matt Sturgeon's question, so we'll keep that, and we'll rock with that one November 1st, or the first Tuesday in November. If you have a question to submit, ask drbbq.com, and we will both weigh in. Well, Ray will definitely weigh in. If I want to, I will, but sometimes I mostly stay quiet.
Oh, and Eggtoberfest. I forgot. Eggtoberfest is this weekend. That's what I'm doing.
Oh, man, this is a huge month. I mean, you got the Eggtoberfest, you got the Royals, you got Sam's Club, you got Jack Daniels coming up in a couple weeks. Ray, if you won the American Royal Invitational and then the Jack Daniels, which one would you give back and why?
I'd give the Jack back. I just think the American Royal is by far the superior contest. The Jack has all that fun and karma around it, but not everybody gets to go. American Royal's got room for everybody. If you won a grand this year and you wanted to go compete at the American Royal, they had room for you. Not everybody gets to go to the Jack. So to me, the prestige of the American Royal is far better. There's a whole bunch of really good teams that can't go to the Jack this year.
Ray Lampe, Dr. Barbecue, we will see you November, the first Tuesday of November.
Bye, Greg. Good talking to you.
Always appreciate the time. Congratulations again for making Hall of Fame.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
You got it. There he is. My Hall of Famer on my show, Ray Lampe, Dr. Barbecue. drbbq.com is his website. And I will agree You know, I know there was, was it Mike and Ray putting on the online barbecue? I mean, that's tough, right? That online Hall of Fame thing was rough, but getting it sold, I think Kansas City, the contest or the functioning body bought it out and now has made it into a more of a legitimate Hall of Fame. So, as I said earlier, I think the people that we all think should be getting in will get in over time. And then people that have made a difference, maybe not as well known, but have either done it through the industry or the celebrity of barbecue will ultimately get in as well. And hopefully it grows each year. And congratulations to Ray for getting in this year. Absolutely. Well-deserved. I think well-deserved. Other people will disagree. That's fine. We're allowed to disagree, everybody. Sterling Smith coming up out of the break to talk about the open side of the American Royal. I will talk to you quickly about the longest-running sponsor of the show, located in Warminster, Pennsylvania, the BBQ Guru. Gang, if you've been thinking about automatic pit temperature control devices for your cookers, stop here. This is the company that started it all. They created this technology a long time ago. Shotgun Fred Perkle, and a customer came up and he said, hey, you do this temperature control stuff for industry, do it for my smoker, and that's where it was born. If you're not familiar with how these little beauties work, imagine a product that allows you to set your pit temperature in one set, keeps it running at that set temperature all the way through the cook. Sounds too good to be true? It's not. This is real life, and you can take advantage of this technology today. Now, maybe you're a busy working professional like me, or perhaps you're constantly on the run with kids, you're doing errands, running kids around to school, functions, and so forth. You don't have that time to set around 10 pit temperatures. I get it. Guru allows you to throw on a pork butt, a brisket, a couple slabs of ribs, then boom, you're off to do whatever needs to get done. Guru will maintain that pit temperature you set it at. There are currently 4 different models to choose from. 2 of the most popular ones, CyberQ Wi-Fi, tearing it up in the competition scene. Also the Party Q, differing ends of the price point spectrum. $149 for the Party Q, can fit pretty much any cooker. Bullet styles, the kettles. For $10 more, you get that special adapter, and you can go into the ceramic cookers. Big green eggs, the Bubba kegs, all that stuff. $149, easiest point of entry. Then you can grow from there if you want. If you're technology-driven, you want to look at CyberQ Wi-Fi, absolutely. Do yourself a favor. Head on over to the BBQGuru.com. Check out all their products. If you have any questions about what to order, call them directly. 800-288-GURU. That's 800-288-GURU. They'll make sure you're outfitted with exactly what you need. Get you up and running right out of the box. 800-288-GURU or thebbqguru.com. Sterling Smith joins me here in about 45 seconds. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Big name interviews, advice on cooking brisket and ribs, and the only host willing to share his honest opinion on all things important in the world of barbecue. It's the Barbecue Central Show.
Who would have thought this music thing was going to go this far? I never asked for this. I never asked for this fast living, the women, the whiskey, craziness.
We are back, 216-220-0966. Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com. My final guest tonight, like 2 points away from taking overall win at the open portion of the American Royal this past weekend. Here to recap the weekend as he saw it, pitmaster of Loot and Booty. Let's welcome first-timer to the show, Sterling Smith, joining me. Sterling, how are you, buddy?
I'm excellent. How are you?
I'm doing absolutely fabulous, Sterling. Appreciate you making time for the show tonight. I guess maybe before we get into the past weekend's events, maybe a little a quick background on you and how you got into the whole barbecue competition scene.
Sure, yes. I've been competing since 2009. I worked for a bank that was based out of Kansas City, and I went to the Royal actually to look at it and see what's going on. And honestly, I thought it was going to be some guys standing around flipping burgers and cooking hot dogs, and I heard it was a barbecue competition. And I get there and I see just this amazing sight. I see smokers, I see trailers set up, I see just this camaraderie, everybody hanging out. It's like a big tailgate party, and I became infatuated. And I came back there in Arizona, and I said, I want to do that. So I looked up barbecue competitions in Arizona. I looked up anything barbecue related, and went out to Home Depot and got myself a little El Cheapo Brinkman and smoked me a pork butt, and it was terrible. It was the worst thing I've ever done. But it's come a long way since then, and I'm glad I found this community. The people are amazing. I meet somebody new every time we go out, and it's almost like your family and your best friends. And at the end of the event, there are people that you want to talk to and people that you want to hang out with. You obviously have similar interests and likes, and it's a great thing.
Were you like a kid that grew up around barbecue and stuff like that as well, or you just like the fact that there's dudes and chicks cooking for competition, this great smelling stuff, and you just wanted to take part of it?
Well, I was born in Memphis, Tennessee. We moved when I was little, so I don't remember much of that. But I was raised mostly in Mississippi, Florida, and Georgia. So, I know barbecue. I've been around barbecue, but not to this level and not to this the capacity that I'm in right now. We'd go out and eat some barbecue as a family every now and then, but it's not the same thing as we're doing out there on the circuit.
All right, so let's go ahead and quickly recap the day before the Open, which is the Invitational out of 165 teams, a very respectable 86th. How did you find that portion of the competition? Were you happy with how your program was running? Were there things that you were seeing that you were like, oh, okay, well, tomorrow when we turn back around, these are checkpoints that we're going to have to hit? How did that go?
Well, basically, I did my normal chicken, ribs, pork, and brisket that I would do out here in Arizona. And this West Coast flavor profile is definitely different than the Midwest. And, every different area has their own intricacies. So I cooked my chicken. I got a 180 first place chicken at the Invitational. 7th place ribs, which is my normal profile. When it came to pork and brisket, I was at the Sam's Club finals the weekend before the Royal. I took dead ass last in pork, and that was my fault. I overcooked it. They didn't like my brisket either, so I went back to the Invitational, and I thought my brisket and my pork were dead on. It was something that I would turn in on West Coast all day long, and I see the results, and I'm getting 140 something in pork and 150 something in brisket. I go to my neighbors who happen to be locals, and I ask them about flavor profile, and they gave me a couple tips and pointers. So the next day for the Open, I flipped it. I flipped to what I normally do on pork and brisket, and I walked in both of those in the Open.
So common wisdom, at least as it relates to this show and talking with pitmasters, is, I would never change anything if I'm going from California to Arizona to Florida. I cook the same way, the same profiles, but you're not finding the same thing. No, I mean, if they're not liking what's best about the Royal, what I like is it gives you a chance to change. If you're doing the Invitational, and you can look at your scores, look at your taste, see the scores, and if something's off, then I can't change their taste buds, but I can change my flavor. So when I travel or when I'm looking at the scores and we're doing back-to-backs, you have to change something if they don't like it. You have to. And they like the sweet stuff in the Kansas City, so I made it sweet for them, and they rewarded me for it. There you go. So you go from 165-team field on Saturday. You turn around for Sunday. You go to roughly almost 5 times more than that, 100 or 549 teams overall. So, like, do you factor in any percentage of crapshoot going into something that big, or is it just strictly, I'm going to make these changes and this should really help me push through? I think there's a lot that goes into it. Good barbecue is good barbecue.
Whether it gets on a good table or a bad table, it's good. People know it's good. A good barbecue friend of mine gave me some wise advice a long time ago, and it was the least offensive barbecue wins. So as long as it's not too anything, too salty, too spicy, too sweet, too anything is it's too wrong. So as long as you have a nice balance going in, I think there may be some crapshoot in there. I mean, we're all competitors. We all want to do well, and we're going to put our best foot forward. We're going to put our best meat on the table. And like I said, good barbecue wins. Whether it's a crapshoot, 500 teams or 150 teams or 10 teams, good barbecue is going to rule the day.
Sterling Smith joining me here on the show, pitmaster of Loot and Booty Barbecue, talking about the American Royal Open Reserve Grand Championship they took this past weekend. Results individually, chicken, you get 53rd out of 549 teams, so you got to be feeling pretty good about that. How did you feel your chicken was in the 53 range? Did you feel like you got a better score, or could have gotten better?
I turned in the same thing I did the day before. The day before, it took a 180 perfect score.
How can that
in the
happen?
invitation on that. And, being 52nd out of 552 teams, I'll take that any day. It was 100 and offhand, I think it was 176, 174, somewhere in that range. I'm happy with that all day long.
Is it a like a kick in the nuts to have perfect chicken? You do it the same way the next day, and then you're 52 places down from where you were the next day. And from what I could argue, you were in much better competition the day before.
Maybe, maybe not. There's those 552 teams. There's a lot of great cooks. Maybe they didn't have a grand champion to get into an invite, but that's not to say they're not great competitors. All those guys out there are on the same level playing field. We're all doing the same thing. I would say it would be a kick in the nuts if I didn't get a reserve grand, but taking reserve grand and with that 52nd place chicken helped me get that reserve grand, so I'll take it all day long.
Fair enough. And then you go to ribs, 103rd out of ribs, so you're top fifth of ribs overall on that whole field. How were you feeling about ribs the second day?
The ribs, I thought they could have done 23 extra minutes. They would have been top 20. But flavor profile-wise, they were the same as the previous day. I know walking in those two categories the day before, I had to keep it pretty consistent. So I stayed with the same thing I was doing. I needed maybe a tiny bit of time in there, but I think where they placed was deserving. So
as we were just talking about, changes, no changes. Yeah, you made changes on pork. You made changes on brisket. And evidently, as you said, the judges reward with a second overall in pork. I mean, that's huge.
To go from Sam's Club dead-ass last, then to go from 140-something in the invites, I just switched the whole thing up. If something's not working, you got to change it. You have to. Either you're stagnant or you're moving forward. And I believe in always moving forward. And if you have to change, you have to change. So I changed, and it paid off.
Were they calling out top 10 spots or top 15 spots in the Royal?
The Invitational was top 15, and the Open was top 20.
Top 20, all right. So for brisket, good follow-up question here for me. 19th overall, so another huge finish here. You get to hear your name called, obviously A for pork, with a second overall, but you get a top 20 call for brisket being 19th. So now, are you starting to think other cool things might be happening as well?
I thought that the first day with the first place chicken, and then seventh place ribs, and then not being in they called, I think, top 15 or top 20 overall in the invite. Not hearing your name, talk about kicking the nuts. That's what that was. But so with 550 teams getting 2 calls, you never know. That my chicken, they could have not liked the chicken the second day, and I could have been 400th place. You never know. So when they call me for reserve, it's unbelievable. It's a feeling that I can't explain, but I want more of that feeling every comp I go to. I want that feeling.
Yeah, I mean, you get 701.14 points in total. Tuffy Stone was less than 2 points ahead of you. I guess if you're going to have to be just a few points shy of taking Grand Championship in the Open, it's probably not too bad to step aside for somebody like Tuffy Stone.
I'll take second to Tuffy Stone any day, any competition.
In your estimation, and people always ask me, and he hasn't done the show for quite a while, but is this guy that nice? Can he really be that nice? This is like a genuine guy who really appreciates not only how he's finishing, and he does obviously spend a lot of time at the craft. And over the last year and a half, he hasn't seen more than a handful of competitions, and it seems like he's winning everything that he's actually competing in, so his batting average is going to be huge. But this is really a guy that's like a good guy of the sport, right?
He's an amazing guy. He's a great ambassador for barbecue. In the Sam's Club Finals, I was picked to do a grilling challenge after the last turn-ins. It was me and Swig and Pig, and we cooking venison. And the judges were Tuffy Stone, Mo Cason, and the two country singers they had there. And I ended up winning that. And that was the first time I met Tuffy, and just an amazing guy. And then coming over and meeting him at the American Royal again, and just being next to him up when he won GC and I won RGC. He's an amazing guy. You can't say anything bad about the guy. An amazing cook. He's a master at the craft. He knows what he's doing, and he's in the position he's in for a reason. He's an amazing guy, and I can't say anything bad about the guy. He's amazing. Reserve Grand Championship and an Open, so you're finishing well above 547 other teams and one step away from winning the whole damn thing. I mean, how does this rack with all the other barbecue accomplishments that you've had so far? Is this like pinnacle without a doubt, or what? Without a doubt, the best thing I've ever experienced in my barbecue career. On that stage, holding that trophy, looking out at 550 people just cheering. It's unbelievable. That feeling is undescribable. And I have several GCs, but this RGC at the American Royal tops them all. It's the cherry on top, if you will. You're down in the Arizona area. Not to switch gears too dramatically here, but barbecue is well known down there. You have one of the top cooks in the country actually kind of lives part-time down there, that being Darren Worth, Iowa Smoky D's. I do know that. But Arizona also, last couple, 2, 3, 4 years, kind of a hotbed of factioning off, and this guy's going to do this, and this promoter is going to do that. Somebody who's being successful from the state of Arizona doing that barbecue thing, how are you finding barbecue and the state currently? There's a couple different forums, if you will. There's Arizona Barbecue Forum. There's Grand Canyon State Barbecue Forum. You know what I do? I love to barbecue. I love to compete. I love the people. I'm a member of AZ Barbecue. I'm a member of Grand Canyon State Barbecue. I'm actually the vice president on the board of directors for the Grand Canyon State Barbecue Association. But I do AZ Barbecue comps. Why? Because I love barbecue. I'm here to compete. I'm here to spread the love of barbecue. I'm here to promote the sport, and that's what I'm about. And I show love to everybody, and that's the way it should be. What are we doing? We're cooking meat in a parking lot, for crying out loud, Let's just cook it up, have some drinks, and have a good time. That's right. Good point. Sterling Smith is my guest, Loot and Booty Barbecue Pitmaster. Sterling, when you were coming up, you said you started in 2009. Were you a guy that kind of learned by trial and error? Did you take barbecue competition cooking classes? How did you kind of ramp up that learning curve when you were getting into it? I've never took one barbecue class. Never? I did a lot of listening. Never, not one. I did a lot of listening. Coming up in that age in 2009 was kind of the beginning of barbecue pitmasters. Yep. That's kind of when barbecue started to take off. 2009, 2010 to that level it is right now. It was always big, but the way it is right now, it just exploded. So I did a lot of research. I did a lot of practice in my backyard. I went from that little $10 ECB from Lowe's to Weber's, to an offset, to Feck 100, to Yoder. I've had it all and tried them all out. And then I'm a big believer in if something's not working, change it. If the judges aren't liking it, then you got to change something. So it was a lot of practice, a lot of research. I've talked to a lot of the big guys. You mentioned the guy who lives out here in Arizona. Great friend of mine, really great competitor. I love the guy, Darren. He's an unbelievable cook, an unbelievable friend. But you know what? You talk to people, and they talk to me, and it goes from there. Have you ever given any, or have you ever thought about, if you haven't, doing any type of classes for teams? Actually, last, I think it was in March, I put on my first barbecue class. And I limited it to 20 people. I held it in my home. It sold out in a couple weeks. And people have been asking me about another one, but I think the price just went up a little bit.
Yeah, you're damn right. So let me ask you about that. I mean, barbecue is not cheap. Nobody knows that better than you, obviously. There's entry fees, there's meats, there's travel, there's incidentals, there's all this other stuff. So how much of a benefit is giving a class helping you? I mean, obviously, you're probably not in the position where you're just like banking it hand over fist, but it's got to help at least offset some of that cost. Is it a big help to you to be able to do that, or is it negligible? Where do you weigh the finances on that?
For a barbecue class, I ended up coming out ahead, obviously. I mean, I want to do that. And I think it's spreading the love of barbecue, sharing some knowledge. People are interested in barbecue. People want to know. They want to they have a quest for knowledge, and I want to give that to them. And if I can help offset some of my costs with entry fees, like you said, gas, supplies, all that, it all adds up. But I look at it this way: this is my Golf, this is my '57 Chevy, this is my rock crawler that I'm going to invest money in, or drag car, whatever it is. It's my barbecue. That's what it is. And if I can make some money on the side doing it, then great. Outstanding.
Absolutely, Sterling. Where are you guys going to be cooking at next?
Actually, next weekend I'll be in Bullhead City, Arizona at the Slaborama barbecue competition. There's no rest for the weary. Got home from Kansas City last night. About to prep some chicken when we get off the phone.
There you go. Teams are on notice. He's coming to get you, and he's the American Royal Open Reserve Grand Champ. It is Sterling Smith, pitmaster of Loot and Booty. Sterling, man, I really appreciate you coming on tonight. Great to have you, man. First-time guest. I want to do it again soon, man. You brought some great energy.
Hey, I appreciate it. Anytime you want to talk barbecue, I'm here. I'd like to say thank you to Mike King from Swimming and Smoke Rubs. Steph Franklin, one of my sponsors from Simply Marvelous, great guy. Mike West from Barbecue Islands, West Coast Offense. I love the sweatshirt you're wearing. I have one myself.
All right. Appreciate it, man. We'll look for you again.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Sterling. There he is. Sterling Smith, Loot and Booty Barbecue, West Coast Offense. He noticed the gear I was wearing. Who else? Yeah, he brought it. What do I always say? If you are a team, maybe this is the first time I think I reached out to Sterling. That was early in the year, right? It would have had to been early in the year when Sam's Club was out in the Arizona area, and he won the local qualifier that was out there, if I'm not mistaken. So I reached out to him, and he had there's like a work issue or something like that, and I said, I'll circle back around when you win regionals. And then, finally, after months, able to circle back around to him, get him on the show. And, what do I always say? What makes a great guest on the show? Passion brought it. Knowledge brought it. If you don't have knowledge, passion, which he had both, thank goodness. But you can tell this is a guy genuinely excited, ready to give back, thankful for what he has. Total package. And he's excited. Good energy. Nobody appreciates bringing the good energy on the show more than the host. I can't be the only one bringing the energy. Come on now. All right. Let's go ahead and wrap it up, as they say in the biz. Let's put a wrap on this. Let's put a bow on this bitch. All the way back in the first hour, we talked to the American Royal Invitational champion, Bill Gillespie, Smoking Hawks. He is also a Jack Daniels winner. He'll be down at the Jack here shortly, trying to win again. Then we had Steph Franklin, Simply Marvelous Barbecue, winner at Dana Point this past weekend. Then in the second hour, we had Ray Lampe recounting Hall of Fame, getting inducted, and closing it out tonight was Sterling Smith of Loot and Booty Barbecue on the Reserve Grand Championship at the Open. See, my boy Phil White is in here, and he's got a note saying, guys and gals, if I could ask you to do me a favor tonight. When you say your prayer, say a little prayer for Billy Bones. He's not doing well at all. He's my Hall of Fame guy in the barbecue world. So, Phil, shout out to Billy Bones. He was on this show a long time ago. Makes superior rubs, by the way. Love those. So we'll hope that he gets on the men sooner than later. Thanks for bringing that up, Phil. Raw cast iron, season it each and every time. Hit it with a brush, burn it down, a little grease, a little Crisco. You know what I'm talking about? September 11th, 2001. I will never forget. And thanks again to all my guests tonight. We'll see you back here next Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And until then, this is your program host and proud U.S. American, Greg Rempe. Good night now.